Remember farmers, for armyworm, like the name says, it's an armyworm. It's organized, it has got strategy. When we are dealing with it, we also have to have a strategy and we have to attack it before it attacks us. Tinofanira kunge takasimba takagadzirira kana kuri kuti mishonga inge yagara iripo patinenge tichitenga mbeu dzedu nekutenga fertilizer yedu. Tisazomirira kuti tazoiona musi wanhasi tochimhanya kunotenga kuchitoro. Tokurudzira kuti varimi garai mune mishonga wenyu kudzivirira kubva kune for armyworm. Right, when you're talking about for armyworm, we're not just merely mentioning its effect on the field. It can actually write off your crop if not controlled. If not controlled, you can damage your maize field up until more than 50%. So we encourage farmers to be able to identify for armyworm before it damages, it creates much damage to the crop. At times we find that for armyworm can be green, can be brown, or can be grey, depending on what it has been feeding on. It has got different insta stages or different stages of growth on the larval stage. The last insta, which is the sixth insta, which is the most destructive one, we encourage farmers to control for armyworm before it reaches the third and fourth insta, because it will have less damage on the crop. So later on, we'll discuss on the methods of controlling for armyworm so that we ensure that when controlling for armyworm, farmers do not go out of their way and it becomes expensive to produce maize in the field. So we'll highlight the different types of methods that you can use to control for armyworm, whether it's on small scale or large scale maize production. Let's talk about the for armyworm life cycle so that farmers appreciate what we are going through. The first thing is the moth, which is the adult. It can fly overnight for more than 30 kilometers or up to 100 kilometers depending on the wind current. So when they are migrating from one region to the next, they fly off. Most farmers think that the worm is the one that moves around, but it's actually the moth. When it gets to the next area, it lays eggs there. When the eggs are laid, they are usually underneath the leaves, and their appearance in color depends on what they have been consuming on flight. You realize the eggs, you might see them yellowish, whitish, grayish, depending on the stage they are in. But usually when they are gray, that's the time that you can now know that they are about to hatch. So during scouting, when you notice such features on your leaves, we encourage farmers to use their hands to break or crush the eggs so that they won't hatch into larva. Once the larva hatches, you find one egg nest can have between 150 to 200 eggs in a pod. When they hatch, the adult larva will stay on their crop. When the younger ones will fall off with a string and move to the next crop. At times, usually, some people use that, the falling off, to the name for armyworm. So in an army, there are regiments, like what the name says, for armyworm. The younger ones will leave the crop, the older one will remain there. These larvae are cannibalistic. The older one will eat the young larvae. Hence, it will force the younger ones to migrate throughout your crop. That's when you find when you're having infestation, it is widespread with a limited time, in shorter time. So we encourage farmers to monitor that. After leaving your crop, the larva will have to grow within 6 stages, which we call insta stages. The first 1 to 3, the first 3 stages are less destructive. Hence the larva is still young, and when it's causing damage, that's when you find the less feature on the leaf. It cannot chew through the leaf, so it will be chewing halfway. And the teeth or the mouthpiece is not yet pronounced, so you find that there's less damage. But from the 4th insta to the 6th insta, that's the most destructive stage. That's when you find if your crop is about a tasseling stage, the tassel is damaged. Hence, there's no production of the cob or even transfer of pollen when the tassel is damaged. And also when you look at the leaf damage, it actually chews off the leaf. You can have 3 or straight holes on your leaf, and you can know that there's extensive leaf damage. Hence, it would affect cob production. So we encourage farmers, when you're controlling for armyworm, know which stage you're dealing with. After the 6th instar stage, you find your larva would drop to the ground. Hence again the term falling to the ground, coming again to the name of our 4 armyworm. It drops to the ground at pupa stage, stays in the ground, then develops again to a moth, then it flies off to the next field. So that life cycle alone will tell you how 4 armyworm survives. Most of the chemicals or most of the control methods that we're having on 4 armyworm concentrates on the larval stage. We only have one method that will concentrate on the adult stage, which is the use of pheromone traps, and we're trapping the adult moth. So that again, if you trap off the males, they won't mate with the females, hence there's no reproduction or fertilization of eggs. And we encourage farmers, use your traps, you reduce your 4 armyworm production population, and also try to control the larval stage between the 1st and 3rd instar. That will be more effective, and it will allow your crop to recover and hence produce stronger cobs, and you increase your yield. Dealing with the last 2 instar stages becomes difficult. If you're looking at the type of chemical that you're using, you have to use more concentration, you have to be specific and particular on applying, you have to focus mainly on the funnel, and it has to have a combination of activities that are involved. It can be either contact or systemic, or you can go for the mechanical method, which you use. At times you find farmers applying fine sand to the crop, and it will abrase the worm, hence it will dehydrate and die off. And liquid formulations that are on the market, they are contact based and systemic, and it will be absorbed by the crop, or it gets contact into the actual worm, and hence it will die. So encourage farmers, if you control your 4 armyworm at the first 3 instar stages, you will use less chemical, and it will be less expensive for you to manage your 4 armyworm. Right, my comrades, patachitaura nenyaya yescout, tine chikurudzira kuti murimi ngaapinde munda achiona kuti mbeu dzake dzakamira sei. Senge patikamira pana muri kuona zvatanichitaura zviya, you can see the leaf damage by 4 armyworm. Even if the task is coming out, the tasseling is starting, but you can see there's already leaf damage. And when we're talking about instar number 4 to 6, when we're talking about how leaves can be damaged, we're talking about this. You can see there's a straight line here. The leaves have been eaten or chewed away. And also, you can see there's extensive leaf damage here. So we encourage farmers, when you're moving or scouting around your field, inspect each and every plant that you're coming across. For example, you can now apply an insecticide for this affected crop. For example, you can drop your Ecoterex granules in the funnel, so that when the tasseling starts, there's no longer tassel damage or leaf damage. As you can see, this farmer, we were just moving around, seeing farmers who are producing green mealies. If you check the leaves on this plant, from the bottom ones, they are okay, which shows that he had applied an insecticide against 4 armyworm. But as the plant is growing, you see there's now extensive leaf damage, meaning that he could have applied an insecticide that would protect the crop up until the tasseling stage. You have to use an insecticide that will last longer in the field, depending on which weather condition or climatic condition the farmer is facing. So in our scouting process, we have reached this section. As you can see, this is the same crop, but growth stages are different. And if you notice, the leaf damage is also different. From the crop that we were scouting at the beginning, we're discovering the crop has grown already. But if you look at this crop again, the leaf has already been damaged. And at the crop stage you are reaching now, it's very easy again to apply your granular insecticide or any other chemical that you can apply. Also, if you can look in this maize field, yes, definitely this farmer had applied a herbicide to control the to control weeds, but you can see there's again reaccumulation of weeds in this field. So encourage farmers, when you're deciding on which herbicide to use, ensure that you affect you use a herbicide which is broad spectrum, and it will also kill broadleaf and other weeds that come in this field. For example, you can use a combination of a herbicide with two different actives. For example, in the trade you can find torch, which you can also use as a weed control to ensure that there's no competition between weeds and your crop. And also weeds harbor for armyworm. For armyworm can actually decrease your yield 50% or more going forward. So for this farmer, likely some of his crop is at tasseling stage, the other one is at a vegetative stage. So we can assist this farmer and ensure that his crop is protected against for armyworm. So varimi makomrades, hondo yatachitaura naye for armyworm here, muri kuona kuti apa gonye rakanyatsodembura moyo wechibage, hachakwanisi kuita mashizha anenge akakura because mukanonoka kuisa mushonga gonye redu rinenge rakomba, rinenge rakunyatsokudya. Muri kuona maburi pakanyatsoita straight line apa neapa kutodyiwa, kutaridza kuti gonye redu ranga rakura rakunyatsodi kudya. Iyi inokutaridzaiwo zvakare kuti gonye redu richiri diki, ndosaka muri kuona yakuita maless kanenge kachiruma kari kure kure, hachikazokwanisa kuisa maburi plant yedu. Saka tine chikurudziro kuti ngatigare takagadzirira muchiscouta kudai maplants ese atiri kuona. Muri kuona kuti pari zvino pastage yatava kuti tinge tichishandisa knapsack kuchitanga kuda kufirita. Dzimwe dzenguva mukaona pandikamira panapa nedzinde iri rainzana neni, saka ukada kuzofirita kudai mushonga unodzoka kwauri. Asi kune varimi vane maboom sprayer anenge ari pamusoro, makuchikwanisa kuspraya mushonga wenyu pamusoro. Asi kune vaya vane kudonhedzera uya, munokwanisa kudonhedzera pamoyo penyu muchifamba munda menyu muchiona. Saka tinokurudzira kuti varimi kana tichisarudza mushonga kurwisana for armyworm sezvatataura ihondo kai, takuchiziva kuti mbesa dzedu dzapa nhano ipi pakukura toisa mushonga unoenderana. Asi in this field, specific field, pekutanga you can actually tell kuti akanga aiapply insecticide asi yazomukurira kumberi uku, haisina kuchengetedza zvirimwa zvake. Crop is good leaves, good in every sense, but now this field now has reinfestation of for armyworm. So encourage when you are deciding on which insecticide to use, ensure that it lasts longer in the field, it doesn't get evaporated by the sun, or if it rains it doesn't get run down. So on scouting we encourage farmers to inspect their crop. As you can see, this is the actual leaf damage by for armyworm. Unfortunately, it's around 3 p.m. right now, so we had to remove the funnel so that farmers can actually see what we're talking about. This is for armyworm inside. This is a young larva, it's still growing. As you can see, as we unfold the leaves, trying to get into the actual funnel, you can notice we are discovering more worms inside the crop. So this is typical damage by for armyworm. As we continue unfolding the crop, you see there's also, you can actually see there's another larva inside here actually damaging our crop. And this is what we call frass. When they are consuming, they produce fecal matter to protect themselves from insecticide. So as you can see, we are really going into the plant. We've removed so far 3 leaves from this crop and going inside. So when you're encouraging farmers to apply your insecticide, whether it's a liquid formulation, you have to ensure that you are focusing into the funnel. That's where the larva will be hiding and that's where they'll be residing. As you can see, this is the tassel stage. Already they are damaging our tassel. You can see there's frass there and there are these little worms and the tassel is already being damaged. So we encourage farmers, when you're applying your insecticide, focus on this on the funnel. As you can see with this crop, unfortunately before tasseling we're encouraging farmers to apply your insecticide before tasseling so that we avoid such damage to your crop. If the tassel is damaged, it will also affect crop production. So I'm sure everyone can now notice this is our for armyworm larva on this crop. And if you try to multiply for this one, it's a half a hectare. If you try to calculate the population of for armyworm in this field, you can actually see there's a lot of this worm in this field. It's an army for sure. So comrades, let's fight this army with a strategy. Timer's application of an insecticide so that we reduce its population. Just to summarize what we've covered so far, you need to manage your weed in your maize field. For example, you can use torch, which will eradicate your weeds for the first 10 weeks and ensure that there are no places where armyworm can hide or reproduce. And also on your maize in field, we encourage you to scout 2 to 3 times per week and be able to identify or hand pick your armyworm if you see it in the field. Scouting, usually we encourage farmers to do it early in the morning or late towards the day end, because armyworm doesn't move around during the day, it moves around at night. The first thing that we need to let farmers know is we encourage farmers to scout their fields after planting maize, because armyworm will affect the maize once it starts germinating. So the main thing that you notice in the field, usually when you come across the actual larva, it has got a Y-inverted mark on its face. It has got 4 dots on the back of its body and 2 lateral lines that go along the worm's body. The other feature that you can look at is on the actual maize plant. You notice that the leaves will have either holes in it or they'll produce a lace-like feature in the field. And also, if you look at the funnel, you realize there is accumulation of dirt of what we call frass in the field. Those are characteristics that your field is being affected by armyworm. And also, if you've got a good eyesight when scouting, you can actually identify armyworm eggs on the leaves. And if you've got an agricultural extension officer near you where they've got sentinel sites to monitor armyworm, they usually actually trap the adult moth, and you can actually identify the adult moth, which is usually the male moth that will be trapped in the pheromone traps that are set up by agricultural extension officers. And also, when you're talking about armyworm, we mustn't forget again how we're supposed to control our weeds, because at times weeds will harbor armyworm before the maize start germinating or growing. So encourage farmers to carry on their weed control. 10 weeks, the first 10 weeks are crucial on maize production. That will enhance you to attain the suitable yield that you're expecting per hectare. So farmers, please, when you're doing your armyworm control, also monitor your weed management. And if you manage the two, you're able to increase your yield per hectare. Ndamenge ndichitaura ndichiti mapheromones pamwe vamwe vedu tinenge tapotsa kuti tiri kutaura nezvei naika kana tichitaura zvemapheromones tinoti musoja kana uchirwisa muhondo iva une mariva ako kana kuti zviteiso ndo zvatinenge chiti mapheromones. Aya mapheromones zvakafanana namai kana vachinge vageza vatsvinda unoona amai vachizora perfume naika kuitira kuti kana pesi pavanenge vachifamba ana baba vanoona kuti papfuura nezvaamai. Zvakangofanana nemapheromone traps. Kana tichinge taisa pheromone yedu mwaka wega ngatisei pheromone itsva yatinoisa mutrap kuitira kuti kana mamoths aya ana baba vachona mamills atoti mamil moth achinge achibhururuka achifamba kwaari kuenda anonzwa hwema hwepheromone uyaya oenda mutrap zvakanaka. Ngatisarambe tangorihenga pheromone trap redu risina kapheromone strip mukati kuitira tinge tichibata mamoths paanenge achiita migration. Remember farmers, armyworm, like the name says, it's an armyworm. It's organized, it has got strategy. When we are dealing with it, we also have to have a strategy and we have to attack it before it attacks us. So when you're dealing with armyworm, when you're scouting your field, remember it's also hiding, it's also acting devious, destroying your field. It is well organized in terms of its instar stages, how it reproduces, how it travels, how it migrates from one field to the next field. So our strategy, we have to monitor, we have to be aware, we have to be ready for its attack. But the best way to win a war is to know your enemy. You know its eating habits, its behavior when the seasons change. If you receive more rain, there's less of it. If it gets hot, there's more of it. But at times when it attacks our field, our maize, if you notice, it's between when we put our top fertilizer in the field or when we're about to apply our herbicide. That's when our crop is vulnerable. That's the best time you see armyworm attacking our crop. So when you're controlling it, make sure it's before adding your fertilizer or before you do your herbicide control. So when you're dealing with armyworm, varimi ngatirangarire kuti iyi ihondo. tinofanira kunge takasimba takagadzirira kana kurudzi mishonga inge yagara iripo patinenge tichitenga mbeu dzedu nekutenga fertilizer yedu. Tisazomirira kuti tazoiona musi wanhasi tochimhanya kunotenga kuchitoro. Tokurudzira kuti varimi garai mune mishonga wenyu kudzivirira kubva kune fall armyworm. There are other methods that we can use to control fall armyworm, which does not include the use of insecticide. Pane yavanoti push and pull factor. Tinenge tichishandisa mbeu dzakasiyana zvirimwa zvakasiyana kuitira kuti imwe inodhonzera fall armyworm kwairi, kuitira kuti fall armyworm isaende kumbesa dzedu dzine dziri munda chingave chibage. So the best one nemwaka watikatarisana uno kuri kunzi mvura ichange iri shoma, zvichireva kuti even kana mafuro emhuka dzedu mombe, mbudzi kana makwai zvichange zvakaderera. Saka tinokurudzira kuti varimi kana chinge taisa chibage chedu torimawo futi mbeu yesora yekuti tinokwanisa kuzopa mbudzi dzedu kana makwai kana kuchinge kwaita yatiri kutarisira kunge iri mvura inenge yakashomeka. Iyi tinoiti push and pull factor, tiri kudhonzera fall armyworm kubva kune chibage ichienda kune imwe mbesa asi isingakwanisi kuzoafekta mbesa iyo. Imwe yachona methods atinenge tichishandisa varimi tichikurudzira, dzimwe mbesa dzatinokwanisa kuisa padivi nechibage dzinoita yatinenge iri more or less kuita serepellent inodzinga fall armyworm kubva kumbesa dzedu. Tichange tichazotaura kuti imbesa dzipi dzatinenge tichitaura nezvadzo, kungave iri sora kana kuti mbesa dzekuti tinodyara kuitira kuti takadyara takatenderedza munda wedu kuitira kuti fall armyworm inge isingasvike ipapo. Asi chatinokurudzira varimi, kune sora ririko mukatsvaga kune mhando dzakasiyana siyana dzekuti munokwanisa kudyara padivi nechibage kuitira kunge inge ichidzinga fall armyworm kuti isaende pachibage chedu. Like in any army, you've got your ground force. Fall armyworm has got its air force. The moth, it migrates overnight, 30 to 100 kilometers within a night. So there's a distance maybe between Harare and Bora or Harare and Murewa in one night. So in any instance, never be too comfortable that you don't have fall armyworm in your field. Constantly monitor, because when you wake up the next day, you've got a challenge of fall armyworm. So we encourage farmers to monitor that. So varimi pamunoona patinenge tichitaura kuti ngatirwisane nefall armyworm hondo yedu, tikuda kusvika panhano iyi. Pamwaka uno muri kuona kuti mbesa iyi yasvika green mealies. Patinenge tichitengesera varimi vedu, patinenge tichitengesera vanhu vanoda chibage chinyoro paya, tinoona vazhinji vanofurura vachitarisa kuti hamuna gonye here, chitsanga dzakasimba here kana kuti kudii. Saka kana tichitarisa kuti tiri kuwana $4 for 4, pasina fall armyworm tinowana $4 for 4. Ndopamunozoona takudzikisa pakutengesa paita kuti $4 for 6 nekuti vanhu vanonga kuti rine gonye. Asi muri kuona chimuguru chandikabata ichi, tikatenderedza kudaiwo hapana na fall armyworm. Patinenge tichiona kana kuti mashanga aya haana kudyiwa. Mukatarisa mbesa yedu mumunda, mashizha kubva pekutanga rekuzasi kusvikira rekumusoro hapana ranga rakadyiwa nefall armyworm. Patakadonhedzera Ecoterex paya 2 to 3 weeks mufield medu mamusina presence yefall armyworm. Mashizha akabuda asina kudyiwa asina borwa. Munoona muguru wedu wakadevelopa kusvikira waita tsanga kusvikira kumuromo wechiguri pasina kana honye kana kuti fall armyworm yanga iri mukati imomo yadya. Saka tinokurudzira kuti varimi, chengetedzai mbeu dzenyu kana kuti zvirimwa zvenyu zviri mumunda, mukadonhedzera Ecoterex yenyu pamwaka mumwe chete, munoona kuti hamuite dambudziko refall armyworm. So as you can see, farmers, our field has been protected by fall armyworm. This maize cob is a clear indication that there was no cob damage, and also the leaves of our plant were healthy. We are checking the leaves from the bottom leaf up to the last leaf on our plant, and the tassels were healthy. There was no damage from fall armyworm. So we encourage timeous application of Ecoterex within the first 10 weeks of crop development or growth. That way, if you protect your maize from fall armyworm, you have a healthy crop, a healthy cob, a good yield, and no presence of fall armyworm. If you control our fall armyworm in our field, it won't spread to other fields of our neighbors or other farmers, and hence your area or region will not have a challenge of fall armyworm. When you're controlling your fall armyworm, please use effective insecticides. For example, Ecoterex works perfectly in field on all weather conditions, whether the rainy or dry spell.